Welcome. So we are starting to the lecture on labor market discrimination of the labor economics course. And well, just at the starting point, you can see actually these type of job applications, as far as I have read, were common in the U.S. In 19th century and even early 20th century. Notice the contractors, the whitewashing and papering haircut in a fish salon will be given lowest bidder, lowest the person who will accept lowest wage. Bids to be sealed proposal not to exceed $13. The balance in whiskey. No Irish need apply, which means if you are Irish, if you belong to a certain ethnic group, in this case that's Irish, your application won't be considered anyway. This is one example of discrimination, which is employment discrimination, where basically a specific preference is given to a certain ethnicity in this case. What is discrimination? There can be some confusion on it, but the economic definition of discrimination is different treatment of two people by certain economic agents because of characteristics that are not related to the productivity. It can be a little bit confusing, especially when you go to the extreme measures of it. For example, when you think on gender discrimination, woman and man, for example, if you will hire someone caring for your baby, is being male means that the productivity of the man is less able to care for baby or not, or are women's preferable in this case, more likely to be accepted to such jobs in this case, because they are more productive, or because of the prejudices, I don't know, because people don't want men inside their house, maybe, I don't know. Or if a woman is not accepted to a construction job, is it because, the power of the woman, the strength of the woman might be enough to do the job, or is it because people don't take him just because she is a woman? By the way, in some cases there can be also some wrong assumptions made for certain groups on their productivity, and we will come to that also. Note that discrimination, although racial and ethnic discrimination and the gender discrimination are the two common and most discussed ones, it is in no way just restricted to that. Even if there can be cultural discrimination, religious discrimination, certain religious groups can be discriminated, certain cultures can be discriminated. I can be discriminated because I wear I don't wear if I wear let's say, earring in my ear, even though that might not affect my productivity, I might be discriminated. If that affects my any decision, my employment, my wage, my promotion to higher positions, any decision by any agent, my workers, co-workers, decisions my co-workers are making, the decisions my superiors, my bosses are making, or the decisions that customers are making, if they are affected by the earring, in that case, there's a discrimination. For example, two interesting type of discrimination is the age discrimination and discrimination of disabled people. And in that case, actually, it might become a little bit more interesting because, for example, when you have age discrimination, you might basically claim that the people with higher age might basically some of their abilities are declining. But the age discrimination is actually if those effects have declined and the person is not able to do the job, and you, because of that, you fire that person or end his contract or not hire that person, then that's not discrimination. But just because of his age, I mean, making certain assumptions or assuming your customers will make certain assumptions and not, and as a result, not hiring that person with high age is a discrimination. So age cannot be the reason. Well, inability to perform tasks can be a reason, which might be basically related to the age, basically. Similarly, I mean, disabilities, for example, if I'm not able to work, but my basic job is actually taking phones and basically answering the phones at a workplace, and if I'm not taken to the job because I'm not able to walk with my legs, then this is a discrimination. But it might not be discrimination if I'm not able to walk and not taken to a construction yard or to a job where I need to basically walk a dog of a person. Although, I don't know, maybe even that's possible. If it's wheelchair, I can maybe do the job even. But as long as my productivity is not affected by the my disabilities, then decisions given just because I'm disabled are discriminatory decisions. Anyway, our main focus will be gender discrimination, although we will also slightly cover other types. And I will start with two videos. One of them is actually, claims that the wage differences that are binded to the, that some economists relate to the gender characteristics, have actually another reason, and that's actually that reasoning is actually something we will discuss today. The main point is in almost all countries, when you look to the wage, men on average get higher wage compared with women. But according to some economists, this is because of the working conditions of women might be more favorable and the productivity of the woman might be lower. And that might be the reason of the wage decreases. On the other hand, the other argument is, the main reason why wages are different is discrimination, or at least discrimination is one of the most important factors that are affecting the wage differences. And in the second video, you see a taste of this idea. Now you can watch the videos. Let me stop a little bit. A second. Okay, I hope you paused and you have watched the videos. Now, basically, on these two different arguments, discrimination and the productivity, the main problem would be how can we separate the discrimination related to productivity and discrimination related to the wage difference is related to productivity difference, and the wage difference related to or affected by discrimination. That would be one of the topics we will discuss today. We will also discuss the potential reasons of discrimination and potential policies that are put against discrimination. So let's continue. By clicking to this link, you can go to a website where you can basically see data for Turkey, and in Turkey, basically 80% women get full-time earnings of women are 80% of men. Of course, that also includes the time differences. Women and men are working are included when you calculate earnings as opposed to wage. earnings are yearly or monthly earnings. Wages usually hourly or daily wage. Sometimes earnings can also be weekly. So that 80% is a question. I mean, why this is 80% is a question you might ask, and you might also look to the labor force participation rate of women and men in Turkey, which is interesting. That data is actually very interesting. Actually, 80% is not that bad actually, but that data, that ratio is not that good. But let's continue. So the main argument, and you will see this argument also in detail, of the mainstream economics, I mean the most common view, is a capitalist system should end discrimination. Why? Because if certain workers are discriminated that belong to any group, woman, man, woman, racially discriminated people, culturally discriminated people, people discriminated because of, I don't know, their age, disability, any group, if they are discriminated, there can be some employers who, they are paid less than their productivity. Making use of this lower pay, someone can employ exclusively those particular workers with relatively lower wage, and as a result, that person can make a lot of profit because productivity differences. I mean, they got lower wage, but their productivity is not lower. This discriminated group, and as a result, other companies will go bankrupt even if they are willing to employ men or an undiscriminated group. The demand for the workers who are not discriminated will fall. As a result, I mean that the wages of the discriminated group and non-discriminated group will remain the same, or employment level will remain the same. So this is the main idea. Well, this idea can be challenged in different ways, and we will see how this can be challenged to some extent. But let's, for now, look to what happened in the history. Well, in 19th century, actually, in England and in United States, increasingly in Europe, actually, this view was more or less actually justified. I mean, a certain group of workers who were actually not part of the labor force, and when they were who get a relatively lower wage, they were increasingly more employed in the factories. A development which is nowadays happening in countries like Bangladesh, India, also. Women and children are actually that group, and men. That means for men, finding jobs started to be more difficult, not impossible. I mean, certain jobs were still reserved for more for men, especially construction jobs, but certain jobs which were previously male jobs started to become female jobs. In the United States, a similar development also happened in one specific case with one very interesting immigrant group. Very interesting, I said, because usually in United States the immigrant waves were coming from Europe, so each successive wave was more or less familiar with the previous wave. I mean, first the people from England, France, Germany have come, and then the Irish people have come. But Irish and English people, although they were different, they were not that distant. Then the Italian people come. Again, they were not that distant from Irish people. And then the Russian people and Balkan people, Greeks, have come, and they were closer to Italians at least.